Howdy everybody in YouTube land. What we have in front of us today is a thermal printer. Kind of unusual for this channel. So here's the deal. I have been shipping a lot of things in and out of here, and I just print off, shipping labels with my ordinary laser printer and just tape them on the box. But I'm using a lot of tape and that's getting old. So I decided to look up and invest into a thermal printer. Now, thermal printers, especially name brand thermal printers, are really expensive. They're like, between $400 to $600 or more, depending on the options you go with. And then you could get a no-name brand for a couple $100, but who knows what the driver support looks like? Who knows how well it prints? Who knows what the service parts look like on things like that? Because 9 times out of 10, they say all their Bluetooth and they're made by those 6-letter random character generator companies. So, when it comes to that kind of thing, the best thing to do is to go with Zebra or Symbol or something like that who specialize in this hardware. So I started looking that stuff up. They're also really expensive for the good stuff, right? But you get what you pay for. However, I started seeing these Zebra 2844s, which I think were based off of like Symbol or something like that, and they were bought. I started seeing those for really reasonable prices, like 20, $30. They're dirt cheap. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, what's the catch? Well, it's possible that, because they're old, you would figure, well, maybe it's parallel only, which it does have a parallel port, but it also has serial and USB. Maybe it's driver support. No, the drivers are still pretty widely supported. The model itself isn't supported anymore, which makes sense. It's an old model. It's not supported anymore, so maybe that's why they're so cheap. And maybe it's because the print heads go bad. And the print heads are consumable on these. But maybe they're expensive. However, they're not. You can get the print heads for like 20 some odd dollars. So I went ahead and got a print head. So maybe, $25 here plus shipping, whatever, and then a print head for another $25. I'd have a nice printer for 50, $60. And it figured, okay, well, we'll get that going. So it gets here, and then I get the paper, and I try it out. And the original print head actually works really well. There's nothing wrong with the original print head, so I don't need a print head. But the problem that it does have becomes pretty glaring right away, and that's right here. UPS version 4.51. Yeah, so the problem is Zebra had a contract with the United Parcel Service that they made these for UPS. This is off the shelf, but they made a version specific for UPS that has proprietary firmware specific to UPS. And it's customized and completely locked down, and it's designed to work specifically with their software. And if you're UPS and you have the UPS software installed on your machine, it'll work fine. But because, I don't have that, I'm just printing off traditional 4x6 labels in Windows or Linux or whatever, this machine doesn't work with that. You can get the stock driver to work, sort of, but it's not right. The alignment's not right. It won't print right. It's basically a brick. That explains why they're so cheap. You get what you pay for. So the problem is, in order to fix this, you have to put stock firmware on it. But you can't easily do that because the flashing tool will not flash this one because it's locked down. You can't do it. So that means the board has to come out of here and the chips have to get removed from the board. So that means we got to take this thing all the way apart to get down to the circuit board that is in there, so we can get to the ROMs, so we can reflash the ROMs, dump them and reflash them. There's another project on the internet where someone else has had this problem before, so he went down the rabbit hole of figuring it out, and it's like a crazy reverse engineering process, and you need your original ROM dumps to do it, because I guess there's calibration data and whatever else stored in there. so you can take the stock ROM and then your original ROMs, merge the two together, and reflash your ROMs with the patched ROMs, which then at that point unlocks the system so you can reflash this thing with the factory ROM if you wanted to from the USB. But with the patch setup, you don't really need to do that. But that's the issue. We've got to replace the UPS firmware with the stock firmware. And that's going to be a fun adventure, which is why we're doing this video, because the ROMs aren't like, you know, a vintage computer ROM where you can pull out a DIP EEPROM and reflash it. No. They had to make this one really fun, and you'll see here in a minute once we get this apart. Well, at least now we have a date of manufacture. December 5th, 2007. So this thing is 19 years old. Because it is, well, almost 19. It's 18. It'll be 19 in December. Yeah. So, anyways. So, we're down to the board now. There's really nothing to this thing. We've got some rollers. We got a Mitsumi stepper motor. You know, we could probably use a little bit of oil. Yeah, nothing crazy. But you can kind of see right away what our actual problem is. Right down in there. So let me get this board off. We only got one screw that holds it in. Then we got to pull all the cables off. Let's see if I can do this single-handedly. I may not be able to. Now, with the board removed, you can quickly see our problem. Also, for documentation purposes, these two cables are the same. Cable number 1, which is the furthest one away, goes up to the front bar here, which goes to this connector. This connector here goes to this cable, which is on the inside sensor. So there's two paper sensors here, and this is the internal sensor, that's the external sensor. So we have that out of the way. But our problem is right here. We have a pair of Atmel AT29C020s, which contain the firmware. 16. This is a 16-bit Mitsubishi CPU, so we've got two flash memories. We got two SRAMs, but those are what we have to do. So what we got to do with these is we have to pull those. We have to extract those, and we have to dump those, and then we have to use the tool that someone wrote that will be used to patch these with the stock ROM so we can keep the machine's specific data with this machine. But also we get rid of the UPS firmware, and we now have the stock firmware. So hopefully we can get that done. Now I got to look for my programming kit, my 866, to see if I have the adapter for those. I do have some TSAP adapters, but I don't know if I have that one. As an aside, though, I do want to gather a look at this board real quick, see what we got going on. Apparently this PCB was used for a couple different ones, the 2844 and the 3842. We have a 6207, that's a motor driver IC. There's our microcontroller there. Zebra made board. We have our Xilinx 9572 CPLD. Hey, at least I have a source for those, because these are now EOL. And then I have a USB host controller there. The power supply circuit here. It's a switching regulator. We've got some surface mount caps that will eventually become a problem. And then our through hole is Illinois capacitors. And apparently these must have had good caps, because I don't see any pops from the plague era, because this was peak plague. There's our board number. So yeah, good enough. Let's yank these guys out of here. Well, the good news is I have the adapter, the zero insertion force adapter for that chip. Bad news is I have to make the actual board. Fortunately, I have all of the stuff here to do it, but that's just not what I had on my agenda for the day. But it is what it is. There. Problem solved. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right. We need to pull those two chips. Alright, there they are. So I got them both extracted, and they're over here. So U21 and U6. So U6 has got the dash 110 and the U21 has the dash 210. So we're going to go ahead and get those into our programmer, and we're going to try to get those dumped, hopefully. So I got the chip in there, and this is the problem with ZIF sockets, is eventually you run into little weird things like that. So you have to fiddle with it to get it right. And there we go. We now have it read. So that means in the device info we should have data. And we do. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is go to the GitHub page, download the tool. I gotta get Linux, Windows Subsystem for Linux installed so I can use GCC because the tool is not pre-compiled. So I have to do that. But at least we have the data. You can kind of see the fonts in ROM. That's all font memory, I can tell. And then there's code. Yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff in here. Of course, after 5,000 reboots and troubleshooting and more reboots and troubleshooting and more reboots, we finally got Linux installed. We got to get GCC installed, got all that installed. This is the repository that we're cloning, which is the patch 2844. Kind of tells you how to use it down here. So I now have that over there, so we're gonna make that work. I'm probably gonna delete this because that's his. I'm gonna substitute that with mine, copy mine over here, and yeah, we'll get that done. All right, well, let's see if this explodes. So bin patch.bin, yeah, we're good. Awesome. So yeah, this will be interesting. So there's our main file, and there's our two patched files. So we'll have to see how that looks. Alright, so all of our files are copied over now, so we have our patched binaries. I just gotta hope that this thing will work, because that'll be interesting. So 20 C90, we're gonna load, browse. Okay, so U21, this is the 210, so that would be the U21, so that's the one we're gonna load. I'm gonna load that, and we gotta plug U in here, like so. Hopefully I got a good dump. We're gonna find out right now. Okay. Device, I don't think I want to protect it. So device, erase. Okay, back, device, program. Program. There we go. Now we're flashing the chip. Now I got to do the other one, and we're going to put them on the board. Verify, successful. Now comes the fun part. I got all the solder joints cleaned off. Now I got to move those onto here. Alright. The T-SOPs are reinstalled. I had to look under a magnifying glass and make sure the solder joints are good. They look to be, so hopefully that tool worked and we didn't turn this thing into a brick. That's gonna be the real question. So I need to get this thing back together and see what happens. Alright, so let's cross our fingers, because I have no idea what's gonna happen here. Okay. Oh, we got a green light. Nice. Okay. I gotta take both hands. So I'm gonna push this button. Does it work? Maybe. I think it's hunting for the label. Wow. Waste. But okay, let's see. What did it do? Did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Oh, yes, it worked. It worked. We have now fixed, or jailbroken, I should say. Oh, man. We have jailbroken our thing, because there's the original one. And there it is. And the serial number still matches. This is why we had to use the original dump, so we can keep the serial number and keep other things. So, wow. Wow. And you know what's funny is we have nothing used on this one, where this one it had stuff on here. So I'm pretty sure this had other custom stuff in there taking up space. So it worked. Perfect. So awesome. That means I can plug this into Windows, get the driver installed, and see how this thing goes, because that's much better. Alright, here goes nothing. Does it work? No. Okay. Try that again. Let's see. Paper size. Print using system dialog. We gotta run the Z Designer. Orientation. Portrait. Yeah, I think it's done. Let's see. No. That's weird. Let's do something else. Control P. Let's do print system dialog. We're going to do landscape. See what that does. Hello. Really? Huh. I think it just died on me. Go to you. Reboot the printer. What are you doing? Cancel it. Cancel the print job. Control P. Trying to do this by hand. It sucks. Let's see. Let's go landscape. Oh yeah, it sent it to the wrong printer. That's why. Print. What are you doing? Why is it doing that? Why? It's printing it. Please stand by. Alright, now we're going to try printing it from the actual PDF instead of inside Chrome. So let me try that again. Does it work? Yes. There we go. Frickin' Chrome. Chrome! So I've learned we can't use Chrome. We have to use Adobe Acrobat directly, because it's just not working. Anyway, so perfect. Perfect. We finally have a working label printer after lots of waste. But you know what? It's okay. So, quick little video. Hopefully you learned something from that. You can jailbreak these LP2844s with caveats, because you got to pull the chip and program it with a TL866 and put it back in there. But once you do that, though, everything seems to work fine. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching.